Hi ladies, welcome to Brandy's Cards. So today we've got a fun card for you to make with the, I always say fun card for you to make, don't I? Well, it is another fun card to make, and crafting is fun. So anyway, so today was with the Flower Shop bundle. And if you haven't seen this in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, it's awesome. It's on page 95 where they show the bundle, and it's worth it because you save 15%. And so the Flower Shop stamp set, it is awesome. And then the Pansy Punch, which is adorable as well. And so anyway, that's in the Flower Shop bundle on page 95 of your Stampin' Up! Catalog. Today's project is this Cascading Flower card. I love it. I just thought it was a lot of fun. We did it at my recent stamp camp, and I think the ladies really liked it. So I thought maybe I'd show it to you guys as well. Okay, so what do we need to get started? Well, you need white paper. That's it. And some ink pads. And 2, 3, 4 ink pads, whatever colors you want to use. Today I've got Marina Mist, I've got Rich Razzleberry, and Daffodil Delight. That is it. Okay, so how am I going to do this? Well, what I have done is I'm going to have all of the dimensions on brandyscards.com. Okay, there will be a post. So inside of the information spot in this video, there'll be a link to the post where you'll be able to see all the sizes and the dimensions. And I will also make sure and list all the products that I used in the event that you might like to order these. All right, so right here, what I've got is I've got a Whisper White piece of cardstock, and typically when we fold it in half, you've got a 5.5 by 4.25 card, right? That would open up. So what I've actually done is I've embossed one side through the Big Shot in the honeycomb embossing folder, and it makes this beautiful honeycomb texture, which I love. And then I put it into my cutting board, and I cut this, so this would be 3 inches. All right, so that means I cut 2.5 inches off. Isn't that right? No, 4.25. Let me just tell you for sure. Okay, so I'm going to measure that. That's why I always keep my cutting board close by so that I can get those measurements straight. All right, so I cut it so it's at 3 inches. So basically I cut off 1.25 inches. Okay, and it's folded in half. It's textured with the honeycomb texture. Now what I've got here is I've just got a piece of scrap paper, and I wanted the cascading effect. So as you can see, the card is actually cut. There's nothing on there, and then when you open it, you can see my flowers kind of coming down here in the back. So how I did that, I'm going to start out with my my Marina Mist, and I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I'm going to stamp it just kind of randomly, really. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just kind of how you want your flowers to look. And one thing you're going to notice is, this is ultimately what I'm after. Okay, because I am going to cut these out. So don't worry a whole lot about the razzleberry ones, the flowers, because we're going to stamp those last. We're going to punch them out with the Pansy Punch, and then we're going to pop them up to add some dimension to our card. So what I'm going to do is I've got Marina Mist here, and I'm going to stamp 3 Marina Mist flowers, and I'm just going to kind of stagger them. Just kind of stagger them down the paper. And I'm going to clean up my, my pansy stamp. Now I'm going to go get some Daffodil Delight. And I stamped right on top of the others. And the neat thing is if you make a mistake, it's kind of nice because if you get, you rock or you get the edges, because you're going to add other flowers to pop up on the top, you can kind of hide all those mistakes. All right, so now I'm going to make the Cascading Flower. So how did I do that? Honestly, I just trimmed all the way around my flowers. Now, a lot of folks will say, oh, I don't want to do all that cutting. It's really not that bad. I am not trying to be perfect by any stretch of the means. And I'm not getting right up to the edge either. So don't feel like you got to get to the edge of those flowers. Just leave leave 1/8 of an inch all the way around and just continue to cut. Okay, so what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to cut this whole piece out, because this is the piece that's going to cascade down the side of your card. All right, and what I have found when I'm using my scissors, if you notice, I don't typically move my right hand. I'm right-handed, so I don't really move my right hand when I'm cutting. what I'm actually doing is I'm actually moving the paper. And I'm just kind of closing the scissors with my right hand, but all the motion and all the activity is going here with my left hand. And sometimes it's just easy if you just cut that piece off. And you can keep on trucking, okay? So here we go. We are all done. I'm gonna set that down, pull these aside. All right. So now here you can see I'm gonna pull my honeycomb piece back in. I'm gonna set that down. And I'm just going to take some Tombow glue, and I'm going to go down the edge, just right down the edge of my honeycomb piece. And then I'm going to take my flowers, and they're not straight, so it's not, you probably don't need glue down the whole thing, but you're going to add other flowers to that anyway, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so I am going to, and I think I want my flowers to go that way. You always have to just kind of play with it and figure out which way you like your flowers best. All right, so now I've got my flowers cascading down my, my honeycomb. So now what I need to do is I need to go back and I need to start punching out some pansies to kind of layer on the top. So I've got some scrap paper here, and I also have my hexagon, which I really like. So I'm going to go ahead and just stamp him because it's got him right there next to me. And so I'm going to pull my pansy punch in. I think the last color I used was Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to go ahead and make maybe 2. You certainly can make more. This can be as many flowers as you want on there. I mean, you could have it layered a couple different layers, but I'm just going to do 1 layer for you. So I've got Daffodil Delight. It's time to do some rich razzleberry. And so I'm going to stamp a couple rich razzleberry. I'm going to clean my stamp. Now I'm going to go get some Marina Mist. And I kind of have to push hard. I need to re-ink my Marina Mist. It's definitely time for some re-inker, I think. All right. So make sure you clean it off really good because I've got kind of a mix between razzleberry and Marina Mist. And it's not as pretty, like that. All right. So here is my pansy punch. Now, I have received many emails from you guys saying, now how do you line it up in the pansy punch? I've had such a hard time lining it up. Well, you're not the only one. It's not totally clear as to exactly how to line it up, but it's not necessarily, I think, meant to line up perfectly either. So just do the best that you can. I just kind of eye it and just kind of move my paper around until I find a spot where I think it fits pretty good. I've had some ladies tell me that they've actually marked on their stamp a certain spot on the flower and a certain spot on the punch to kind of know exactly where to punch. But, I don't think that there is any true science to knowing exactly where to put it. So there's 2 Marina Mist that I've just punched out. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to punch out. I've got rich razzleberry here, which I love this color. There we go. And again, I don't worry. I mean, I'm not one to worry a whole lot if it's not absolutely perfect. Nobody knows what it's supposed to look like anyway. So keep that in mind. All right. So I've got 2 more to punch. Then I'm going to show you how I layered it on my card, and then that will be it. So this card looks a lot harder than it is, and it is a lot of fun to make. So pretty. So the first time I did this card, I did it in, yellows and oranges. Very pretty. Then I decided to kind of switch it up a little bit, challenge myself. And I wanted to play up the razzleberry. So that's kind of why I did that. I kind of pulled out my color coach, looked at the colors, and it kind of told me the creative colors were the Daffodil Delight and the Marina Mist and razzleberry. So that's kind of why I popped that razzleberry on the top. Now I'm going to pull back in my card, and I've got all these great little flowers punched here. And so I've got my Stampin' Dimensionals. And so now what am I going to do? I'm going to start layering flowers. That's it. So I'm going to put a couple of my my Stampin' Dimensionals here on the back of my Daffodil Delight one. And I really liked it kind of being here at the top. And then I'm going to go and grab a rich raspberry, probably one of my favorites. Really like this color. And I'm going to stick that down, and I'm going to layer it so it's kind of over the top of the Daffodil Delight, because I want it to have this like layered effect. And then I'm going to go in, and I'm going to go for a Marina Mist one and stick that on here. Now each card I do looks different every single time. So, you know, don't get too caught up on, oh, well, mine doesn't look like yours, or oh, you know, I didn't do mine that way. It is totally okay. There is no right or wrong way to any of this. As you can see, I'm just doing it. I'm just having fun. I think on my first card, I only popped up a couple. The second one, I got a few more, and it looks like for y'all, I've got 6. So here we go. I have got a couple more here. I think I'm gonna put this Daffodil Delight one right here at the bottom to cover up my glue. That is one of the greatest things about crafting, is that there is always a way to cover things up. You know what I mean? If you make a mistake, stick something on top of it, right? Nobody will ever know. Trust me on that. Okay, so let's see. I am gonna put this one right here, kind of offset it there. That is pretty, very pretty. And let's see here. I think because I have a little bit of glue there that I am not liking, just cut my flower. And did I cut it any specific way? I didn't, but I want to cover that glue up. So I'm just going to kind of insert it right there where I had my glue showing. You see that? That's what I'm saying. You don't need to throw that card away. You just stick something on top of it. That is my rule of thumb here in my stamp camp and my classes. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to punch our, we have our hexagon here. Love this punch as well. It also comes in a bundle, so if you buy it with the 6-sided sampler, you get, I think, 15% off, which is super. Every little bit helps. So I just punched a Daffodil Delight hexagon, and I'm going to pop that up too. While I'm popping stuff up, we're just going to keep on popping stuff up. And where am I going to put that? Again, this card always looks different every single time I do it. So, you know, I don't worry too much about things. Maybe I should, I don't know, but I don't. So I'm just kind of looking around, seeing, okay, where's it gonna look the best? And I think I like it right about there. So now that I have my, my hexagon in place, see that there? Now that I have that in place, what I'm gonna do is I am going to grab a piece of scrap paper. And I have chosen, let's see, where is it? I have chosen the Thanks Much stamp set out of the 6-sided sampler. It's actually in there. There's also a Hello Sweet Friend, which I really like. Now, how many of you have done this? How many of you have stamped the stamp, punched it out, stuck it down, and then been like, oh, I didn't stamp my greeting on the top? Yeah, I do that often. So you could try to stamp it on there, or you can just stamp it on some scrap paper. I don't think it really matters all that much. I just stamped it on some Whisper White cardstock. And, you know, let's try this. To get us some straight lines here, I'm just going to go ahead and use my hexagon punch. And what I've done is I have punched out my Thanks So Much. You see that there? I've punched it out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it in half. So now I have this kind of fun shape. And that shape is actually going to go right here on top. And I have to tell you, it looks really cool. I haven't done it that way. I think this card here, I did it kind of like a banner, right? You know, and that's just using scrap paper, that banner. Then just kind of using your square punch to kind of snip the edges there. But this is really super fun. Wait till you guys check this out. That is super fun. Awesome. Love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this card. You need some jewel rhinestones, maybe some pearls. You could pull in some of your clay. You could do some clay flowers on there. How about buttons? You could do buttons too. It doesn't really matter, brads, or some candy dots. Some Stampin' Up! Candy dots. Yeah, those would be super cute too. Now, how many jewel rhinestones am I putting on here? You know, just depends on how much you like. It doesn't really matter, quite honestly. You know, I'd probably try to keep it in odd numbers, so I think I'm going to be done because I think that is beautiful. So that is a really fun cascading type flower card. Really like it. It's got the honeycomb accent in the back. We've used the 6-sided sampler and the hexagon punch as well. Super, super cute, super easy, and it definitely, I think anybody that you send that to would love that card. Now keep in mind, you could stamp the envelope. So you can stamp your envelope on the lid of your envelope. You could also stamp a nice flower here on the inside. So I just want to thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope that you've enjoyed today's project. Of course, if you have any questions, let me know. Be sure to leave a comment because I've really enjoyed contacting you guys and giving away a few cards. That's been a lot of fun. If you'd like a catalog or you have any questions, please be sure to let me know. So thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.